Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Breakfast with Bobby. I'm your co-host, Christina. I am here with the lovely Bobby Clubino and our guest, Connie Lynn. Today's topic is actually a topic, believe it or not. We're not just going to talk in circles. It's about the importance of community and what we can do to improve the communities that we are in, whether those communities are where you live, online, spiritual, whatever it is around a hobby or whatever your community is. We're going to be talking about communities today. So what you got, Bobby?
Hey, good morning, everybody. You know, um, it has been a number of years since Connie and I sat down and had a chat. And we've known each other for, 17, 18 years, something like that. And in addition to knowing each other, we kind of follow each other back and forth. And just so you know, Connie's a celebrity. She's been on TV a couple of times within the last couple of weeks. And I was afraid to ask her because she's way more famous than we are. And I was afraid,
Stop it.
you know.
Stop it.
So anyway, let me just read this little thing. Connie Schneider is the training and development manager at Bear Country Incorporated, the parent company of Jellystone in Caledonia, Wisconsin, and Bear Paw Beach and Adventure Park, which is a very large campground. And it is child-driven type of thing. It's a very large family-oriented business. As the founder of Cup of Joy, Mornings for Women, she uses her enthusiastic and personable talent as a public speaker to motivate and remind others of the joy that they can find in recognizing their gifts and sharing them with others. Founder of the DIBS 17 CPR mission, Connie uses her training as a CPR instructor and American Heart Association life leader to equip others to save a life through CPR and AED awareness. In addition to that, what I wanted to bring forth here is that Connie has a fairly large family. And I've followed you for years and I admire you to the end of the earth. You have gifts that most people would love to have. So I don't know how you did it, but you've done a fabulous job. So welcome to Breakfast with Bobby, Connie.
Yeah, welcome,
Thank
Connie.
you. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Bobby. Gosh, I look at how much we've grown and how we've always been able to touch base no matter what. Like you kind of guided me and helped me through situations and talk things out. But I love our intuition, I guess you can say. Both of our intuitions we're able to help each other out in that way. But I'm grateful for our friendship. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Of course, I want to chat with you guys. Stop it with the celebrity. I'm going to dabble where I can.
Every chance you get. So I have some questions. And one of the things that I've always admired about you, and uh, one of the things that we love about this show is that you never know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things that I've always admired about you is having 4 children and juggling all of that and working a full-time job. And your children just seems to have flourished everywhere. And they are the brightest stars. They're always out there doing something in addition to, their mother showing them the way. But I understand and followed you for a number of years in the CPR thing. So maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, that was a mission I never planned on. I'm very what are my goals? Speaking to myself positive every day. I always love writing and speaking, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be so passionate and committed to people learning CPR. I call it my unplanned purpose. Because it really came at one of the hardest moments in our life. So 2018, I was at my son's baseball game and I got a call from my nephew and he said, Auntie Connie, get here quick. David collapsed. And David is our firstborn nephew. For those that are aunties out there, when you're first an auntie, your whole world revolves around this new child in your life. And I'm like, surely they're just being dramatic, like surely it's fine. And I got up a minute and I walked away from the game and I looked at my phone and he texts CPR. And it's you catch your breath at that moment and it's just it's something you never forget. And no words would come out of my mouth. Like, what? And I'm looking at my husband. I'm like, we gotta go. And I just couldn't even speak. And we get in the car and I'm thinking, what's going on? And I'm trying to call my nephew. We're trying to see where David's going. A long story short, we're starting to head to Kenosha, the hospital. And my dad calls and says, Connie, turn around. He's taking flight for life to Milwaukee, to St. Luke's. And I was just with my nephew. I'm like, we were just together. What happened? Maybe it's just a panic attack, or maybe he drank something or took something. I'm going to blame it on something right away. So we turn around, we go to St. Luke's, and it was my husband, my son, and myself, and then the grandparents had taken the kids from the baseball game. But, I'm looking out that window at St. Luke's with the sky view of Milwaukee, and you're just focused in and waiting for that helicopter to come. Like, I'm going to see that helicopter. I'm going to be there as soon as the helicopter lands. I want him to be the first person I see. No, he's not alone. Like, right away, all these thoughts go through your head. And I'm like, you try to bargain with God right away. Like,
Yes.
just if he survives this, I will do whatever you want me to do. I will do whatever it takes. Just let him survive this. Let him survive this. And I felt a arm on my shoulder, and it just said, I heard the voice, trust me. Trust me. And that's when I turned and I took out my camera and I took out my phone and I put the phone out to the window and I take a picture after my falling apart, crying, not even, just upset, kind of just get a grip, Connie, and be still, be still. And my son and my husband look at me and they're like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to let David know he was in a helicopter. Like, that was my first thought, to take a picture, and I'm going to let David know. And I thought, God, whatever your plan is, I'm going to obey. I'm going to follow. I'm going to listen to you. Whatever your plan is, I trust you. And that's when I kind of got a grip, and he wanted me to trust him and be still. So of course I do what any woman would do, being still. And I start texting everybody. Like, I need a prayer. I need a prayer. I need a prayer. And I'm just nuts on the phone texting. I just need a prayer. Can't explain. I needed a direct line to God to say, we all trust you, whatever it is. We believe in you. We trust you. And we know that David is in good hands. And somebody sent a prayer to me and said the prayer. And I was never one to pray out loud. And he said the prayer, and they said, we pray that the doctors and the nurses and the pilot and the people taking it, like everyone that was in that small moment in David's life, they were mentioning in this prayer. And I thought, this is a village right now. This is a village coming together for this one heart that stopped. And he landed, and he was in a induced coma, and we walked in and he had tubes and blankets, and we didn't know if he was going to survive it or not. And the whole hospital floor was full that night with teams and family. And at that time, that was the night where I opened up the computer and started writing, because we couldn't keep up with the phone calls. And I started writing, and we did a caring bridge. And I thought, at my worst shattered moment, because I was just trying to listen to what God wanted me to do. I was just trying to follow my heart. And at that moment was when I just started writing, and I felt so much joy in like pleasing God in that way, and having people reach out and have that peace of knowing what's going on with David. He came out of a coma 3 days later, and then 7 days later, we walked out of the hospital, and he was 100% fine. He has a defibrillator in his heart. And in case it stops, then it automatically will go off and save him. But he didn't take any drugs. He didn't take any energy drinks. It was just a total fluke where his heart started going so fast it stopped. And when it stopped, his coach did CPR for 13 minutes, Zach Seaver, and saved his life. And the doctor said if it wasn't for Zach, he wouldn't be with us today. And that's when his brother Alex and I said, everyone needs to know CPR. Everyone. And what's so crazy is I was at Summerfest where the fire department does CPR. And I was with my kids that day. And I'm like, it was the day before it happened. I thought, oh, it's so cute. They're teaching them CPR. I'm going to take pictures. I don't need to learn or kneel down. I'm good. You know, look at my kids learning. This is so wonderful. And I thought if David was with me when that happened, he would have died. And that was a fear I didn't want anyone to have, because I thought it was so cute to be a spectator and not actually learn CPR. So with that, I became a trainer. We trained 2,200 people in 1 year how to do CPR. We did school events, community events. We did entire schools. We used their gym class and taught them CPR. We did entire school and used their Spanish class, and we did whatever we could to get the numbers rolling. And then I had a lot of firefighters mention David's story in the class and kind of spread the word with their communities learning it. And it wasn't all me, it was a community, and everybody wanted to help in some way. And from that, Dibs 17, his nickname was Dibs, and his baseball number was 17. So we did a Dibs 17 CPR mission. And within 1 year, we wanted 1,700 people to know CPR, and we did it.
Wow.
We did it.
That's
And we're
awesome.
still very passionate about it. And we promote, you know, everywhere there's an AED, we're telling people, take a picture with it, send it to me, to make people aware that that's not a first aid kit. It's not a fire hydrant. It's an AED that's going to start a heart and save a life. So on my Instagram, I think it's Connie Lynn blog, Connie Lynn. On my Instagram, you'll see AED photos, and they don't get it at first, but I'm like, look, just take a picture with your AED, smile, point to it, send it to me. And it's funny because when my friends are with me, I'll say there's an AED, and they get in the photo and they know that I want to make sure the world knows there's an AED at this park or school or library. And I just, why not? It's a heart saving, you know, everyone has two hands. Everyone can learn how to do this and be confident in doing it, versus saying, I wish I knew what to do. And I think that was my biggest nightmare, and my driving force is I would have been that person that said, I didn't know what to do, and he would have passed. So that's my passion and where it comes from.
Wow, that is powerful.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
since you have rallied around all the people knowing how to do CPR and using AEDs, etc., have you had an occasion to use it since then?
You know, I was in church once, and I heard someone call, and I'm just standing there, and I heard someone call 911, and I'm in church, and I'm like, oh shit. And I said it so loud, and I'm in my head, I'm like, this is it. I'm on call. This is my moment. And I go over there, and I just stood there, and I said, you got to get him on the ground. You got to get him on the ground. Like, I was so aggressive about it, but there was medical staff there taking control of it right away. And everybody knew their place, and I just stood there ready. I said, I have two hands. If you need me, my two hands are here. Because anyone who's done CPR for real, you know, you will wear out, and you should do the circle. The first time within 1 year of our mission, I was at another baseball game. Within 1 year, this was the first time this happened. I was at a baseball game, and my daughter Julia came in front of me and said, Mom, someone's doing CPR. And she whispered it to me, and I said, oh. And I get up and I look thinking, oh, they're doing a class in the park. And I see a girl pumping on somebody, and I just see her, like, I just see her pumping hard, and I sprint and I run. And I have a firefighter on the team with us, and a dental hygienist. So they're both CPR trained on a year. They booked past me like faster than a speed of lightning. I thought I was running fast, but they just go and we get to the gentleman, and there were like 10 people around him doing CPR.
Wow.
And I said, I know CPR. And the guy says, I'm not moving. I have his pulse. And the other one said, I'm not moving. I'm going not like, I just stood there and stood back. Everyone else jumped in and pushed and pushed. And I feel at that moment that I froze, and I came home and I said, who am I to be carrying out this mission? Who am I to be showing all these people CPR when I couldn't even do it myself? Who am I to be at that moment and I did nothing? Like I was devastated. And my girlfriend texted me that day, and I didn't share that thought with anybody, but I was like, here I am, this strong advocate, and I couldn't even take action at that moment. And my girlfriend Jackie texted me, the one that was a super runner, and she said, Connie, look at what you've created. There were more than enough people that knew what to do. And my son said to me, Mom, it's exact this, because he stood next to me as I was standing there. It's almost like I had to prove to everybody, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I can do CPR. It's almost like I felt like I had to prove something at that dying moment of this man. I was selfishly thinking I had to prove. And my son said to me at that moment, Mom, you teach people everything that they're doing right now. Everything that you're watching, you've been teaching people like right for verbatim. And I'm like, but that still wasn't enough for me. I still felt not enough, but then I just processed it, and it took a while, because that's when I put a halt on everything. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to talk about it. And then it happened again where I saw someone collapse. And I'm like, this time I'm jumping in, right? And I go into action right away. Are you okay? Are you okay? Because I'm thinking I'm ready to press your chest and go to it. And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. And she just collapsed. And I'm like, I got to take it easy. Not everyone's going into cardiac arrest, but I was just, I realized I got to stop. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I just need to teach people how to do the skill. So that's when I kind of stepped back and realized, stop trying to prove who I am and just teach people this amazing technique that they can change a life and give people a second chance, So to answer your question, yes, I did see it 3 times. I've never pushed on the chest myself, but I've witnessed it, and it's been successful.
I've been CPR certified a number of times, along with first aid, etc. I can tell you that I've never been in a position to have to use it, and I'm grateful for that. So knowing and realizing that sometimes we're put in situations and we just need to be aware of who's around us and who God puts us next to. And look at all the people he put you next to, Connie.
Yeah.
It's not your job. It's not your job to do that. It's everyone else's, but you were the one that led the charge. So, wow.
It's definitely, I say, when one heart stopped, a village started, because a village truly started. People are reaching out to me that I haven't talked to in years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just such a mission that I'm so grateful that God trusted me with,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to push on anybody's chest. I think you just need to be there to coordinate and teach everybody else how to do it.
Yeah.
That's the village. Somebody's got to lead the village, and it might as well be you. Why not?
I too learned CPR a number of years ago. I'm not currently certified, and I every once in a while I think about I should get certified again, because you never know, you never know what situation you're going to be in, where you're going to find yourself. And as often as I'm on the road, I'm probably more likely to find it than most people. But yeah, where do you suggest people go? I mean, like overall, because I know that you have DIB 17, but we're on the World Wide Web. So
yeah, go to aha.org. I work closely with American Heart. Talk to your local fire department. The American Heart Association has a link where you can find different instructors to do it. There's not just American Heart, but there's Red Cross. There's different companies that do CPR, but definitely go to American Heart Association. I've learned there's all different companies that have different strategies on how to teach it. But when you look at hands-only CPR that was created because people didn't want to do the mouth-to-mouth with a stranger, So they
Yeah.
created hands only, saying just focus on the compressions and don't worry about the this many compressions and this many breaths, just focus on the heart. So you just find the center of the heart and push hard and fast. You can do hours of certification, hours of a class, but basically hands only. If they're not responding, and I say, because we are in the World Wide Web, I do want to do a little practice with it, if that's okay, Christina and Bob. But
Yeah.
I say to people, put your hand in front of your mouth. If you don't, you know how you feel your breath, you'll feel, if you put your face to the person's mouth and don't feel that breath or hear that breath. And then when your face is down, look at their chest. And if their chest isn't breathing, so if you put your hands on your stomach at home, you can feel it go up and down and you'll feel no movement in the stomach. If those three signs, no breath, hear, see, or feel, you're going to start pushing on that chest, and you're going to call 911 first. Otherwise you're going to be pushing all day long, nothing, call 911, push hard and fast, call 911, push hard and fast. Like those are the two basic steps. But definitely take a class if you can, but call 911, push hard and fast. And like Zach says, and we met with all the first responders, and they kind of pieced the day together for us on how everything went. And it was pretty magical how there just happened to be an ambulance driving by that usually doesn't respond at that time, but it definitely, having Zach know CPR, 13 minutes he pushed on the chest. And David's June 25th is his anniversary that this happened. Today's the 19th, but I'll always call Zach and say thank you for giving us our nephew. He just got pinned to be a police officer where he's at, but just to look at the second chance that it gives somebody, our whole world was flipped upside down. And it was hard talking to people that had lost somebody to cardiac arrest, because I'm in a really, it seems like a small community, but there are a lot of people who have lost student athletes and young children because somebody didn't know CPR or there was an AED nearby. And, one lady said to me, she had lost her 15-year-old son on the pool deck. And she said to me, you won the lottery. Your family won the lottery. And when she said that to me, it just shattered. It was hard not to feel guilty talking to other families that didn't have the outcome we did. But these are families that are also pushing CPR, promoting AEDs, doing EKGs on student athletes. These are families that are making more of a difference than I can even possibly imagine, because this is how they work through their pain.
Right. Right. I also wanted to add, because this is World Wide Web and not just United States, whatever your emergency code is in your country. So in the United States, it's 911, but I know that it's not the same emergency code worldwide. So whatever the emergency code is in your country, that's the one that you want to call before starting. Also, AHA is the American Heart Association. I'm sure that most countries have something similar. So find out what that is in your country if you're not in the United States. So I just wanted to say that too, because not, if somebody in Germany calls 911, that's not going to help them. Because
Yeah, sorry, for us
code.
Americans, it's
Yes.
911.
For Americans, it's 911. But I think that a lot of people probably know what their emergency code is. That's one of the first things we're taught as children, right? Like if you have an emergency, find a phone, call 911 or whatever your number happens to be. But yeah, I know that there is certification all over the world. So,
Even when some people are like, well, how young can you learn CPR? And I said, you know what? We talked to kindergartners and we had them grab a pillow and a ball. And we say, if mommy or daddy look like they're sleeping, check their stomach. Is their stomach moving? Do you feel their breath? If you don't feel their breath, go to your phone and call 911. And then we'll tell the parents, this is what we taught your child. Have them practice opening up your cell phone and dialing the emergency number. Have them practice, going outside, take the path to their neighbor's house and how they can go to that person and get help. We kind of just bring up these things you don't want to talk about with your kids, but they can either be prepared or they can be scared.
Mhm.
So teach them to be comfortable with it and get over that initial shock of I'm all alone and mommy's not waking up. You know, just those little pieces that if anybody's watching and listening today and takes one thing from it, it's teach your children to be prepared. Stop making them afraid of everything.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it could be saving your life.
Right. It's kind of like
So,
knowing where to land, where to go if there's a fire in the house, kind of knowing,
mhm.
you have to practice those things. And children, I think sometimes are misunderstood and misappropriated. And sometimes the kids aren't given enough credit to think that they can actually problem solve. And knowing that they can probably easier than an adult can when they freeze. A child will likely go into knowing what to do immediately and save your life more than, an adult, unless we're really prepared. And
Yeah.
honestly, I talk about this a lot. You know that I have a black belt in Taekwondo, and
Yes, awesome, by the way.
thank you.
Yes.
Today I often wonder, being alarmed, being in a situation that you're not prepared for, and just like having an emergency and having to call 911, would I be able to pull that out of my memory quickly to be able to hop into action? It's the same as dialing the 911. And if that's all you have to remember to call 911 to save someone, you're doing really well. So it's one little step, and I'm sure everybody's capable of doing that.
One of my friends was in an active shooter situation. He goes around training, so I learn a lot from him. And he said the activities that you do every day, and then he showed certain security cameras, like this mom takes her baby out of the stroller every day, and in the camera there was, an active threat. She couldn't get the baby out of the stroller, or you can't lock the door. Those little things that you have to put into practice to get that muscle memory.
Yes.
He also mentioned when you're talking about, trusting the kids because the young adults are so used to drills at school, fire and active shooter, when they heard noise in the parking lot, they knew to take cover where parents froze and didn't know what to do. So we gotta trust the young generation, they're where we're at, and we gotta stop saying that they don't know or this or that. They're our next generation, and we gotta believe in them and have confidence in them and have faith and trust that, you know what, they're gonna be doing the next best thing.
They seem to be
I,
able to
I
pull it out
agree.
faster than we can. And I'm gonna say that adults have so much more on their mind that, I don't know, it just sort of freezes, and kids remember the solution to the problem easier than adults do.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I hate to say it, but with adults, it's like one of the first probably three thoughts that comes into their head is, am I going to get sued for this?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
it's true.
When everyone was pushing on this gentleman's chest, it just felt like a whole army of people for him. One guy's standing back like this, and he's like, I ain't doing nothing. I don't want to get sued. And everyone at once just is like, okay, and just like going to put like, versus he's ready to die and you're
Yeah.
worried about what's going to happen with you right now. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to break a rib. Well, you know what?
You're
He
gonna.
can break his ribs. And David was like the next day with the paramedics, man, my chest, I don't know why my chest is hurting. And the paramedics are like, David, we were giving you all we got, and our arms hurt. Like our arms hurt.
Wow.
We were giving you all we got. But we just gotta believe in people. People need to feel believed in, on
Hmm.
the other way around too. Like we all want someone to believe in us. We do.
Right.
Yeah. We
I
we
think
want to
that's the
believe.
importance of community too,
Yeah.
when we can believe in each other and we can believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
And
I love that this is talking about bringing a community together, because it just, when you ask people, what do you love most about this situation or this job or this company or this group, they'll say, oh, we love the people. And what do you hate most about that? Well, we hate the people. And
Right.
it's like, we love the people when they're doing what we want them to do. And we
hmm
hate the people when they're not doing what we want them to do. Like, if they're not doing what we want them to do, we don't like them. But it's got to stop being a control freak kind of thing. You got to empower other people, question them, ask them, get them to learn and get them to be a leader too. It's when you don't like people, it's because you're not helping them, empowering them, guiding them, coaching them. They're just not doing what you want them to do. It's
Yeah.
when you love people, it's because you're learning from them. And at the same time, you're teaching. It's 50-50. That's when you love people. When you hate people, it's because it's not under your control. They're doing what they want, and you just got to guide them and coach them and work together on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And really the whole basis of society is community, right? So it's
We're
and
here to
we
help each
don't we
other.
don't typically talk politics in here, and I'm not getting into one versus the other, but what I'm saying is, people often skip local elections and only vote in the major elections, but really the government that affects you the most is in your own community, right?
Right.
So that's where the voting really needs to take place, and that's community support, and that is, especially when it comes to things like school boards and whatever, but that's community support is you start local, whether that local is an online community, because I belong to several online communities, and you can't tell me that those people aren't my friends, like we're really close, we're really tight. But also the local community that you live in, the people you work with, they're all communities. And I love what you had to say about, we love people when they're doing what we want them to do, and we don't love them when they're not doing. Yeah, that is a really strange concept, but when it's put into words like that, but you're absolutely right. I don't know if it's about control or disappointment or what it's about, but it's about, when people are behaving in a way that we're not comfortable with, there's friction for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, gosh, Bobby, Dennis Franks said a question to me years ago at a conference. He was somebody that we, followed, and he was just a great coach and mentor to a lot of people. And he brought me to the stage and said, what's your dream? What's your goal? And I said, well, this was in high school. I'm like, well, I want to have my own nonprofit. Everything in high school. And he's like, and he said to me, well, what are you doing about it now? Because I was like, oh, when I have enough money, I'll do it. Oh, when I have this, I'll do it. Oh, and he goes, well, what are you doing about it now? And I'm like, nothing.
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 I don't know what to
Nothing.
do about it right now.
And he's like, join a nonprofit, talk to people that run a nonprofit. What's the nonprofit about? What does the work entail? Like, just take action on what your dream is, a little bit at a time. We think, oh, we want this big thing when the time comes, but we don't look at the small steps it takes. And then here, what's so funny, ladies, is I had a middle school do a penny war for us. And he said, we're doing a penny war. And I'm like, nope, that's not necessary. Just get an AED, talk about David's story. And he says, nope, we're doing a penny war. They invite the family to the school assembly. They present us with this whole check. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, oh my gosh. And they said, we just need your nonprofit number to give it to you. And I'm like, oh, looks like I'm starting a nonprofit. And that's how my dream of a nonprofit came true. Cause I'm like, I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to see, I don't know if this is what the right thing to do right now. And I dreamt about it. And it was almost like God was laughing, being like, you've been waiting for this your whole life. And now it's come to you in this form. And you're going to tell me no. Like, it was just that kind of. And I woke up and I'm like, here's my nonprofit number. And my sister helped me get all set up. And we do have like our final dibs 17 mission is to do EKGs at the local high school for student athletes. And then that's the final dibs 17 wrap will be the EKGs for student athletes. So
that's incredible. That's stuff that you don't hear about often.
Right.
And
when
my very first, and even, my second or third time that I was certified, we didn't do AEDs, and now it's part of the schedule. It's part of the training.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
I understand, it's really all about your hands. And even if I and I can't tell anybody else to do this. However, being certified previously, knowing what I know, I would feel comfortable jumping in, even though I'm not certified right now, pressing hard and fast.
Yeah.
You pick up that stuff, it's all muscle memory. It'll come back quickly. And something is better than nothing. It's, oh my gosh.
You know, the one of the doctors said, he said, or no, it was a paramedic. He says, when we pull up to the call and see people standing around a body, that's when we know there's no chance. They didn't even give the person a chance. He said there's nothing better than pulling up and seeing people working and pushing hard and fast, knowing that this guy has a chance, or this person or lady or child has a chance. They said those minutes between when the ambulance gets there and when you're sitting there with that person feel like forever.
Yeah.
So why not just take action? Just do what you can until the first responders get there. I mean, giving them that little bit of hope because you learned how to push with two hands. I mean, it sounds so silly, but it's like, we all got two hands. Learn the stinking skill. Why not? I
Right.
mean, come on.
Well, you might be saving, your spouse's life or your own child's life or a parent, someone in your own household, not
Yeah.
necessarily the guy down the road that, collapsed at the park and you're running up to him and being a big hero. It might be somebody that you love in your own home.
Yeah, yeah. Some people are like, oh, I'm just gonna call 911, or oh, my husband's a paramedic, or oh, my wife's a cop, I'm fine. And I'm like, like you're not with them every second. And it might be them that needs the CPR. It might,
Exactly.
like, no one thinks outside. They just get in that comfort zone of, we're good, someone will take care of it, it's fine. You got to be proactive. You got to take action on it. You got to be the responsible one, because it'll be you that's there alone waiting for the ambulance with the body in front of you. Like, I hate to
Yeah.
say it like that, but
I have a question though, for those who
yeah.
might not know what AED stands for.
Mm.
What is that?
It's an automatic external defibrillator. So, and I can send you a picture of it too. I'm trying to think if I have. But it's on a wall in businesses, public places, and you open it up, you push start, and it'll direct you on what to do. And you take two pads and you put them on the body. And they're like, oh, I should have had one. It's like a straight, okay, so like, here's me and here's the two pads. You put one in the bottom, one on the top, where the heart's in the middle. And then when the machine says all clear, you stay clear and it'll reset the heart. So it's like
Okay.
a lightning bolt, just jolting the heart and resetting it. So it's more powerful than CPR, but it's going to enhance your skill with CPR. But the AED is like the life-saving machine that
Okay.
people now keep in their businesses.
Okay.
And
I
Or
wasn't sure. I didn't know what AED stood for either. So I wanted to make sure that I asked that question for other people too.
automatic external defibrillator. I actually have a friend that has her daughter carry one around in the backpack because she has a heart challenge. And if her heart stops,
my,
there's her AED. Yeah. And it's a hereditary heart disease that they have. So insurance approved an AED. And she carries it around with her, and her teachers know, and her friends know, and her community knows. I mean, you want to talk about a community, they all know how to save your daughter's life if it happens.
Yeah.
yeah. The
That's
AEDs are set up now that you open the cover and it gives it, the written instructions are on the inside of the cover. But the electronic device, when it is turned on, will cycle through the instructions as well, if not talk to you. Do they
Yeah.
ever talk? I
it
thought
walks you right through. It walks you right
kind
through
of a
it.
no-brainer. It's
Yeah.
and it can't mess up. So
I love that. I love
It's-
So
that.
if someone, for those that don't know it, thanks for kind of clarifying that. If someone collapses and is not responding, you call 911, you get the AED, you start CPR. have someone get the AED, like, or tell someone to call 911, tell someone to get the AED, and you start CPR. But those three components are like the chain of survival for that, or to better that person's chance of surviving.
Right.
Call 911, you get the AED, you call 911, I'm starting CPR. And then the AED comes, you apply it to the body, and you shock that heart. And give
It's
them a
the same
chance.
kind of, it's similar to seeing it on TV where they put the paddles on the chest and it goes boom and
Yeah.
it kind
Oh.
of shocks them back awake.
Well, I
And
know what a defibrillator is. I just didn't know what AED stood for. So
Mhm.
I'm
I'm so
thank you
glad
for
we're
clarifying.
teaching you now, Christina. Now you know.
Yeah, now I know. Now I know. So I'm going to bring this up from the other side because I am someone who has actually survived having my heart stopped. Okay.
Really?
So, um, have you ever talked to someone afterwards? I suppose your nephew. But did he have like a near-death experience with that? Has he talked about that at
No.
all?
He says, and by the way, I thank David and Zach every day for letting me talk and share their story and continue to, because I know that both of them are moving on with their lives. Like, Auntie Connie, you do what you need to do and do your thing, and we're just moving on with our lives. So I said, David, did you have a near-death experience? He's like, no, I didn't. He's super quiet, just like me, super
oh
quiet.
yes.
But you know what's funny, and everyone denies this, but I know what I heard. I know what I heard, because when he came out of it, I was like, hey, buddy, we're so happy you're awake. Like, I remember going right up to his face and putting my hand on his head, and he just got the tube pulled out, and he's like, Auntie Connie, are you an angel? And I swear I heard that. And they're like, Connie, get over yourself. He did not say that. I'm like, I know he said that. I am an angel. But he didn't have a near-death experience. I feel like he wants to, jump in with me sometimes and promote and help be a part of it. And I'm hoping we're working on passing a law on a few things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping he'll be a big part of it, because he says, tell me what you need and I'm going to do it. And he's, graduated since then from college, and he's just quiet, but he's like, yeah, it's Connie, whatever you need. But he hasn't had that near death. Have you had that, Christina?
4 of them, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. And everyone was different. That's why I was asking, because I have talked to people who have um, their heart has stopped, and sometimes for a much longer span of time than you would think that they would survive. And some of them have near-death experiences and some don't. So I was just curious.
Did you, was it something that you kind of learned and changed your direction of doing things because of that near-death experience?
Um, in 2 instances, yes. In the other 2, no. Um, the first one was as a result of a head injury when I was a child that I did not cause myself. So that was out of my control. There's no way that I could have changed the behavior of the adult that did that. Then the other one that I couldn't have changed was, well, I guess I could have by not having more kids, but I actually died in childbirth. My heart stopped during childbirth.
While you were delivering.
Well, while I was in labor, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so your heart has stopped
4 times.
4 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you physically decided that you wanted to come here and hang out with us.
Yeah. There's no getting.
Well,
You're the angel,
You're the angel
Yeah.
for sure, Christina, for
well,
sure.
at 14, it was a drug overdose. And so,
Wow.
yeah, that changed the way I lived my life afterwards. Then, gosh, when was it? It was like 10
Couple
years
years
ago
ago.
already. It was 10 years ago
Yeah.
already. It was 2014. It was a severe case of pneumonia and resulted in a couple of emergency surgeries and whatever had to be done for that. So now I have a DNR on file because I never want to survive that again. I never want to go through that again. And so that's why I'm asking about, um, like near-death experiences and people's experiences afterwards, because,
Mhm.
there, it's all great to be alive, but if you're alive and you're permanently damaged or you're disabled because of being alive,
Yeah.
that's a different thing, because there's quality of life that needs to be brought into it as well. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing CPR. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances as well. I mean, it took months for me to be able to even leave the house and drive by myself after that. And
There's a cardiac arrest survivors group.
mhm.
And a lot of people do share what you're sharing. And I'm so glad that you brought that up too, because did you read the 30 Seconds in Heaven with Don Piper?
I think I read that a long time ago. Yeah.
He actually came to a local church and talked the book, and then they made a movie of it. But
I think I did see that. Okay. Go
yeah,
ahead.
like he survived a really bad accident and had a lot of damage done. And heaven was such a beautiful, glorious place that he experienced,
Oh,
where
I would agree with that.
it
Yeah.
was hard to come back. And the
Yeah.
way he describes heaven, oh, just ways I couldn't even imagine.
Hmm.
But and he described it in his talk, in his book, and in the movie, and coming back and living the life after. I mean, I won't share too much of the story or anything, because I want people, like the readers and watchers and viewers, to read it themselves. But it's an amazing story, and it touches on
Yeah.
what you had talked about.
Right. I have no idea with the pneumonia, like how long I was even there, but the time there's no time there. So even if it was like 10 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever,
Mhm.
it felt like a really long time. Just, I don't know how to say it other than just bathing in that love that is not describable here on earth. We don't have language for that. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I was angry.
Um,
I was really angry that I was brought back because I was dropped into the most painful body I'd ever been in.
Ah,
oh,
And, so there was a lot of recovery for that emotionally as well as physically.
yeah.
And, it's there are so many different sides to everything,
yeah.
so
There's always a bigger picture. There's
always.
always, there's a firefly story that I love, and it's the fire, what was it? It was so there were bugs in the water, and they're all like, why do people go past the surface of the water? We never see these bugs again. Or it was some kind of, I think it was some kind of bug. And they're like, why do they do it? And they're talking and saying, who do they think they are, leaving us and going to something bigger? Well, finally one bug says, I'm going to see what's up there, and I'm going to see what's going on. And the bug goes up there past the water, and he gains these wings, these firefly wings, and he's flying everywhere. And he's like, oh, I can't wait to go back and tell everybody how amazing this is, and how it's not just water, but I can fly anywhere, and the flowers in the sun, and it's so beautiful. And someone says, you can't go back. And he says, well, why not? And he goes, because you got wings. And if you do that, your wings won't work anymore. He's like, I can never tell them. And they said, no, they're going to have to, one day they'll find out themselves. And I always
Right.
think of heaven that way, like,
That's really something. That's
yeah,
a nice way to put that. It's
I have that. I put that link in my blog somewhere, because I read that story years ago, and I'm like, oh, what a powerful
yeah.
message.
Right.
I
Well,
got
and
You know,
speaking of your blog,
yes. Tell everybody about your
Connie's,
blog.
yeah, conniescupofjoy.blogspot.com.
Connie's Cup of Joy. I like to dabble in it. I like to write in it and feel. I do. My friends a couple of years ago asked if I would teach catechism, and I was like, oh gosh, I can't add another thing on my plate. And then I thought about it. I hung up the phone and I thought about it, and I'm like, I can't do it, but what if we did a morning cup of joy with women at the church and just brought everyone together, I'm like, I don't know the Bible very well, but I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to talk on it, and we're going to have coffee, and we're going to have a good time with it. And we do. So 3 different churches, and I'll go and I'll speak with them, and it's just a fun, casual conversation, and I'll take different stories that I study, and I try to learn how to interpret the stories, and because there's always something new to learn, and then I'll go and I'll put my perspective on it, just encouraging women to just be yourself and be who you are and love who you are, and not only that, but encourage other women and empower other women to be and feel good and amazing and proud of who they are. So that's where Cup of Joy came from, because I had a mug in front of me at that time. And they're like, well, what should we put in the flyer? What should we call it? And I'm like, I don't know, like Cup of Joy or something. And she's like, Connie's Cup of Joy. I'm like, perfect, awesome. So, and that's
Love
where I
that.
carried on with the blog. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to post stuff about that, and I got to tell you, sometimes I miss it. When I see you online, I'm like, what happened to that Cup of Joy thing? I kind of wanted to hear that. You just, you have been such an uplifting person, and you're always positive, and you always have something nice to say. You're like the epitome of, Thumper's mother. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And it's just, but which is why I wanted you to come here, because you really are a pillar of the community, then you pass on all the good stuff.
I just, I'm as good as the people that support and surround me, truthfully. Like, I just really have a great group of people that cross my path, and it just makes me even better. I wanted to do a TED Talk. I set out a goal to do a TED Talk, and I did a TED Talk pitch, and I'm like, oh, it's CPR. Surely they're gonna take it. I take things for granted. I'm like, of course they're gonna want the world to know CPR. Who doesn't want the world to know CPR? And I did a pitch, and I'm like, and they're like, sorry, you're denied. And I went and I did it, and it was like a 3-minute pitch. And I did it, and I was so excited. And I'm like, and I had 2 days. I found out about it. I'm like, oh my God, this is happening in 2 days. So I put it together real quick, drove 3 hours for 3 minutes. My parents took me, were like, this is the coolest thing ever, says my mom and dad and I, and we did it. And of course, my mom and I cry after every time we talk about David's story, and I didn't get it. And I'm like, who doesn't want to know CPR? Like, because it's the topic that TED Talk takes, not necessarily the speaker, because they can coach a speech or whatever. So I'm like, who doesn't want CPR? So I thought I'm going to do daily TikToks to get out of my shell of talking and encouraging and sharing things. So I said I want to do daily TikToks because I thought that would help me prepare for giving another TED Talk pitch to eventually make it. So for a while I was doing little Cup of Joy minute spots on TikTok, just kind of saying what came to my heart. And my sisters are kind of like, Connie, sometimes I don't really plan what I'm going to talk, and I just kind of comes out. And I told myself, no retakes. You just say it and be done. Say the message that's on your heart, and that's it. No retakes, because otherwise, I won't do it, because I want it to be perfect, and it'll never be perfect enough. So I just try to get out there and make mistakes and let people know that it's all right. Just get out there and mess up, as long as you're doing something, right?
Right.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Took me
Christina,
a year.
I'm sorry that, the the experiences you've been through must not have been easy. And, I'm thinking of you through all that. And I know you probably come a long way with everything.
Yeah. Well, the thing that came with the last one was really that I was done doing things that didn't bring me joy. I now only do things that bring me joy. And sometimes it's still not fun, because, there's support work that goes behind that isn't always fun.
Yeah.
But helping people the way that I do, and speaking with people, and the writing that I do, and the publishing and all of that, that brings me joy, right? When it's done and the book is out there, pure joy.
Yeah.
That third edit, I'm about over it, So,
Uh,
the support work isn't always joyful, but I know that it's going to lead to joy. And I
Yeah.
know that it's going to lead to bringing other people joy. And that's why I do it. That's why I am back for another round, I guess. I don't know what else to call
Yeah,
it.
you got something now. You got more things to say. You got more things to share. And
Apparently I do.
yeah,
Apparently I do. But yeah, it's just really interesting how you can look at it from the other side too.
yeah.
It's, and most people come at it with gratitude. Most people, eventually anyway. Like I was not grateful for those first few months when I was in pain, but eventually, you come at it with gratitude and you go, okay, what can I be grateful for today? And anytime that I start thinking that I'm not doing what I came here to do or whatever it is, I can look back and go, you got through some pretty rough stuff. You're okay.
Mhm.
You're okay. You can do this. You can do whatever life has in store for you. And so yeah, if it doesn't bring me joy, I'm not interested. It's that simple.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of, I'm over that third edit and writing books.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think Connie's got a book in her. I think
At,
So
at least one.
she's
Yeah.
holding out.
I've
Yeah.
been this is where I'm at, ladies. Bobby knows this. Bobby's like, Connie, you need to shit or get off the pot here. And I said,
Did I
Bobby,
say
I'm
that?
I'm hi in so many words, in so many
I'm
nice
sure.
ways.
No, I'm pretty sure I just said that. So
Yeah.
So Christina, I'm halfway into this book,
Okay.
and I'm talking about my story with David and how we're at this spot where he gets out of the hospital. Someone's at my house, but
Oh.
I can't have
I
unexpected
hope you
guests.
know
I'm
them.
in the middle talking with the ladies. So like I'm at the point where he's coming out of the hospital and I'm at a halt. And I don't think emotionally I've left that hospital yet. I don't think I've like dealt with my emotions. I jumped right into the CPR and the mission, and I'm like, I gotta get through this and
Well,
figure
dealing with
out.
the emotions is huge. I mean, it's like I have started another book called Logan's Choice, and it's
So,
about my experience of surviving my son's suicide. So there's obviously emotion. Yeah.
so
There's a lot to
that's,
deal with,
yep,
you know?
that's the end of the book. That's what has to happen in order for you both to move forward
Yeah.
and to get over it. And those are the things I think that people need to read. That's the
Yeah.
service that you're going to provide to the community so people understand.
The emotions involved. And it's really, whether it's when someone you love survives something that you didn't think that they would, or doesn't survive something, the level of emotion involved in that is so difficult to put into the written word. That's even when you've processed it, even when you know the feelings, even when you feel it, it's difficult to put those feelings into words. And if you're a perfectionist like me, you want it to be well written. So you're trying to put emotion into a well written content.
Yeah.
That doesn't always work, you
Well,
Mhm.
know?
I think you should just write it. Just write it and forget the rest of it. And it's not going to be published right away anyway.
Right.
But part of the exercise of that and part of the beauty to all of that, and I'm talking to both of you because
Yeah.
I've gone through, and I know we all have these days, the release of trauma. And I think that's where the gift is for both of you to release that. And
Mhm.
I know the drudging up all of those emotions is another way of reliving it. But once you let it go, it's gone. And then you can heal. So for whatever that's worth, that's my best suggestion to both of you. And
Yeah.
none of it is easy, I'm telling you, because I'm sitting here and I can feel your pain being who I am and knowing both of you the way I know you. You both need to do it because the world is waiting for your gift.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And the world has actually both received a lot of the gifts for both Connie and me and you. you know,
Yeah,
so
Bobby.
yeah, it's really interesting though, processing those emotions. And I don't know if you have this, I assume you probably do to some degree, or you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, but the PTSD that causes when you go through something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes in layers, deep, deep layers. So it's
My daughter just went and saw the Inside Out 2 movie
mm-hmm.
with the emotions and the feelings and anxiety. And she's like, Mom, that it was a deeper movie that adults and children need to see just on working through emotions.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm gonna go see it with my boys, but the
yeah.
more we can get people to talk and communicate and not hide, and like Bobby said, I need to get it out in the book, because if one person can relate and know that they're not alone. I just had a meeting this morning and I said, what was one takeaway that you took from this? And a couple of them said to know that we're not alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people going through this too. And
Yeah.
they can work it out together. So, it's growing pains are growing pains for a reason, because
Right.
we're going into a new shell, and you got to keep growing and sharing and talking. That's what community is, just like you said, Christina.
Yeah, that's
It's all
what.
about the inner work. It's all about doing the inner work. And
Mm-hmm.
by relating your experience to the inner work is what helps other people realize that they're not alone too.
Right.
And so that being said, Christina, I think we're almost out of time, aren't we?
I
We can
think we are. We might have even gone over a little bit, but that's okay. Sometimes
The
we
three
do
of us
that.
together, that'll be true. That'll be given.
Well, you're going to have to join us sometime, Connie, for actual breakfast with Bobby, which is where this started, was having
Yes.
breakfast together.
We
And
do.
the,
And you know what? I'm going to bring a mannequin next time. We're going to actually demonstrate how to do it.
Oh,
We'll
awesome.
demonstrate how to do CPR. I'll bring my
Awesome.
mannequin buddy with me.
Awesome.
and you call him Manny, right? That's his name.
Manny, I don't
Lynn.
know, Bud, Bob, Joel, Annie, I don't, whatever.
I remember when I
Manny
took
Lynn.
it as a kid because I took the babysitting course, and that was part of it. The
Yeah.
resuscitation Annie.
Oh, yes.
Annie's,
Yeah.
Me
there's
too.
history behind it, but I know we're cut short. So
Yeah.
ladies, thank you so much. I just love being with both of you this morning, and thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you. This has been wonderful, and I really know that the people who listen to this on Monday morning are really going to appreciate it. And Bobby, what do we want our listeners to do?
we want the listeners to ring the bell, hit the notification button, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know if you want to hear from any one certain person or a topic. And in addition to that, thank you so much, Connie, for taking time.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
We all
you.
have enough to do. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
Enjoy
you. Thanks,
Florida.
ladies. Thank you. I heart you both and everybody out there. Make it a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.